and welcome to the Atrium off-season episode number 2, a ripple or a splash. Today is March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2009, and our top story today is just that. Is it a ripple or a splash? Ted Thompson signs Anthony Smith to a 2-year deal, and of course all of you Packer fans out there know the Ted Thompson mantra, let free agency come to you. And so my advice when free agency begins, if you're a Packer fan, is simply this: take a vacation, take a week off, go to the Caribbean, take that cruise you've been wanting to, get out of the Great White North. If it's February, beginning of March, nothing's better than going to Florida and hanging out at the beach for a little while, and that's exactly what Packer fans should be doing the first week of free agency. But when that second tier of free agents comes around, that's the time when Ted Thompson goes out and makes a huge splash. And he did so, came through for us this season as well, signing Anthony Smith to a deal with the Packers. Anthony Smith, a safety, formerly with the Steelers, who was not tendered, 6 foot, 200-pound safety, spent 3 seasons with Pittsburgh. But listen to this, the guy was drafted by the Steelers in the 3rd round, so he's quite an athlete apparently. He was drafted in the 2006 draft in the 3rd round. That was number 83 overall. So this is a kid that is very young. I think he's still 25. I believe he turns 26 in October. He fell out of favor with the Steelers, so hopefully it will just be a matter of him getting his act together, maturing a little bit more so than not being able to play at the NFL level. Now, details of the contract. I wanted to wait, get this Atrium out after the details of the contract came out. And according to the GreenBay Press-Gazette, sources say Smith's contract will pay him up to $710,000 this year, and it's got escalators that could raise his pay up to $1.275 million in 2010. So after playing with the Steelers, Smith signed with us. Cost the Packers only $100,000 in roster bonus. Then a base salary of $535,000, $75,000 for off-season workout bonus, and to my mind that sounds like a real steal. If this guy who has played a 3-4 defense, a safety, a place where we need some depth if nothing more, but a guy that may in fact step up, play well, played a lot of games for the Steelers. I think he started every game for the Steelers in 2007 before he sort of fell out of favor. But he is he's one of those, the kind Ted Thompson likes, a potentially great player at a bargain price. So I predicted that we would sign this guy. Just the day before he was signed, I mentioned in my blog, look for Ted Thompson to get this guy. I listed several reasons. You can go back and read those if you want. Now, why do I bring it up? Not just to brag, but because I want to say Ted Thompson's starting to get a little bit predictable. We may not always agree with the way he goes about his business, but he is very consistent, even though sometimes he is not consistent between what he says he's going to do or what he says his philosophy is and what actually happens. After 3 years, Packers fans are starting to get an idea of exactly what Ted Thompson is going to do in free agency, and it is important for us. Gives us a little bit of calm assurance. Now, he's not going to go out and sign Albert Haynesworth's, but if you were upset about not signing Albert Haynesworth for $100 million, just check out the paper. Once again, Haynesworth is being indicted on, I believe, misdemeanor traffic charges for a hit and run. So this guy was a little bit iffy to begin with. And so now we've got our not $100 million player, but hopefully a guy who can contribute, at least from the standpoint of depth. If you're out there and watched the last season, saw Atari Bigby play hurt, saw Nick Collins, not Nick Collins so much, but Nick Collins played very well, but Atari Bigby really hurt us. He was just not up to speed, and it would have been good to have a solid backup who knew what they were doing, who had been in the league for a bit, but was still young, still had their legs under him to back Atari up. We did not have that this year, and hopefully we will have it next year. So at any rate, you can You can enjoy the signing. I mean, what could be better in free agency than getting somebody on our team? I mean, my goodness. And Anthony Smith, geez, it just doesn't get any bigger than that. Our entire team has just made a major 180 with this signing. I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek there, but I do think this was a good pick. I do think it was a good signing. I think it will help out with our depth, and I think most fans out there are looking for a little bit of depth. We are, if you look back at, we had a 13-3 season a couple years back, and it was basically the same defensive players. We had a lot of injuries. We had some questions about whether our defensive coaching staff could really handle and make changes and adjustments the way they needed to. I think a lot of those questions are being answered with Dom Capers' new defense. Of course, we're still up in the air about how the 3-4 defense is going to play itself out, but I am looking forward to, with a few of these select signings that don't cost us a lot of money but may in fact contribute big time or at least give us depth, I think the Packers are taking a step forward. Also in the news, yes, the draft is still coming. Until the draft, I don't expect to see much of anything else happen. There are still a few free agents out there. Derek Brooks, a guy some people want us to bring in. Jason Taylor, a guy some would like us to take a look at. I don't think Jason Taylor...